I'm Bob Phillips, and I'm going to do my tribute speech now on my wonderful wife, Erin. Let's just say hello to the girls, Claudia and Jay. Say hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Well, what I'd like to do is start off by talking about Erin and just giving a brief overview of what kind of wonderful person she is. A great pastor, a great human being, a great housewife, a great mom. She's all these great, the attribute great is flowing out all over the place, but she really is an amazing human being. And we started off, we met in Bemidji, Minnesota, which is where I was coaching football. Erin was going to Bemidji State University. She had an opportunity to play softball at Notre Dame or Minnesota, someplace in Minnesota, so she opted for BSU and, to stay in her native Minnesota. So she comes up to Bemidji. She was a 13-letter winner in high school, which is pretty good, playing 3 sports, so she kind of knew what she was doing around a softball field. So she comes up, and as I said, I was coaching football there, so we met and fell in love, and 9 months later we have Jay Phillips, who you just met, standing over there. And it was interesting. Erin was always a natural leader. Like, no matter what she did, she was totally under control. She felt, she was just grounded from the get-go. It was, it's part of her DNA. So we come back to New Jersey, and we immediately joined the First Baptist Church in Haddonfield, New Jersey, because both of us were grounded in the Lord. And we were happy in Haddonfield. I was from New Jersey, so it was easy for me. I worked in New York and did my corporate thing there, so Erin was able to stay home and take care of our daughter. And she started going to undergrad at Oral Roberts online, much like I'm doing now. She graduated with her bachelor's, and at the same time, she'd been very involved in the First Baptist Church of Haddonfield, and I think they named her a director or minister of Christian Ed, so she did that for a couple of years, and at the time had the largest vacation Bible school in Haddonfield of 9 churches, which is pretty amazing, because when she took it over, they had canceled the VBS, but she took it over in the very first year. They had the biggest enrollment, so that was typical Erin. So during that period of time, she thought, well, I think it's time to, go to seminary. She felt that she had had a calling from God to pastor, and as I said, she was a Christian Ed minister, so she goes to Liberty University online, and 3 years later graduates with her MDiv, and at the same time, First Baptist Church just happened to be looking for an associate pastor, so the timing was amazing for Erin. And they interviewed like 7 people, but obviously she got the job, and she became the associate pastor. And at the same time, the senior pastor at First Baptist Church Haddonfield had a real struggle with bipolar. He was a great man, but he struggled heavy duty with bipolar. And so Erin kind of took over a lot of the responsibilities of the church for a 2-year period and gained invaluable experience. She was doing all sorts of things that the senior pastor traditionally would do. So I guess about 2.5 years later, Erin decided, it's time for me. I have a calling. I really want to become a senior pastor, myself, and run my own church. So she called the American Baptist Churches of New Jersey regional pastor and asked him, Dr. Spitzer is his name, asked him if he would be a reference. And he said, well, you know what, Erin, we don't want to lose you. So we suggest that we find a spot for you. And she was like, are you kidding me? That's awesome. She was really elated. So about a month later, they got back to Erin, and they offered her this position as an associate regional pastor overseeing 40 churches, which at that time was pretty amazing because she was the youngest regional pastor of all the American Baptist churches in the United States. So it was quite an exciting time for her to take this position. So she'd been there for about a year, and she'd been having neck problems. So what she did, it felt time to see a surgeon about it. And he said, yeah, you got kind of slipped this. Let's go do a 30-minute surgery, you'll be fine. So she goes in for a 30-minute surgery, she comes out, she's fine. 3 weeks later, Erin's not feeling too well. She said something was wrong. She could feel it in her body. Goes back to the surgeon, they take an x-ray, and lo and behold, the screw that they put in was 75% out of its little thing there, and had it come out completely, it would have lodged into her esophagus, and Erin would have been in deep trouble. So he said, no, 30-minute operation, you'll be fine. We'll just put a new apparatus in there, you'll be golden. So we go in for the 30-minute operation, and 2.5 hours later, here comes the doctor saying, oh, Erin did great, absolutely great. She can't move her right arm, she can't move her shoulders, she can't move her neck, but she did really fine. And I'm like really puzzled. So after being there for 24 hours in the hospital, something went wrong. She started feeling really bad, thought she had a mini stroke. They sent her up to a neurological center in New Jersey. That was 2 years ago, this past October. In the last 2 years, she's developed RSD, which is the reflex syndrome dystrophy. And what happened was the doctors went in and blew out the vertebral artery and damaged the nerve. So for the last 2 years, she's been on a 1 to 10, 10 being high on a pain threshold, about a 950. Top of that, she's now, the last 2 months, been on full-time disability, and she's not able to work, and it's really frustrating, this powerful, go-getting daughter of the Lord. She can't preach, she can't serve, she can't do anything. The amazing thing about Erin is during this whole time, she doesn't complain. She just goes through it knowing that God has a will, God has a plan, and her whole thing was, God will make a way when there seems to be no way. So it's kind of amazing that she was just sailing along, and then, oops, here we go. God has something for her. God has a reason for doing this. That's what all her associates and friends keep telling her, that there's a reason. God's trying to tell you something. Well, whatever it is he's telling her, Erin is being patient. Erin is just battling through this, and I'm just so blessed and so honored that Erin is my wife, that Erin is an amazing mom, an amazing human being, a great pastor, has a great heart for everybody. And for me, I'm so humbled to be able to do a tribute to my amazing wife, Pastor Erin Phillips, that it's just beyond me. So thank you so much for listening. I'm just really thrilled that I was able to do this, and just thank you for this platform. God bless. Bye-bye.